They've hidden this from humanity for centuries, and I'm not talking about a theory or metaphor. It's real. There is a law so powerful, taught by Thoth in the Halls of Amenti, that when you discover it, everything you chase after starts chasing you instead. This is the reverse law, the most dangerous secret ever revealed, because it takes control of your life out of the system's hands and puts it back into yours. And the most shocking part, you're using this law every single day, but the wrong way, creating scarcity, blocks, and suffering. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how Thoth taught this law so that no one can stop you anymore. But hold on, this isn't just philosophy. I'm going to prove it to you with real stories, practical examples, and an exercise you're going to do today to feel the universe responding effortlessly. Stay until the end, because anyone who leaves in the middle is going to miss the most important key. The part where I show you how to live this every day, without needing complicated techniques, and finally make your life flow without resistance. Now pay attention. What you're about to hear in the next few minutes could change your understanding of manifestation forever. Let's begin. What is endlessly sought moves further away from what is already yours. But the one who remains silent and observes sees the universe deliver without being asked. Have you ever noticed how some things only happen when you stop insisting? It's like there's an invisible force waiting for the exact moment you get tired of struggling to finally step in. It's not a coincidence. And Thoth was already talking about this millennia ago. He called this moment conscious surrender, the instant you step aside and allow the flow of life to move naturally again. Think about simple situations. How many times have you spent days or weeks trying to solve a problem, overthinking it, sleeping poorly, draining your energy, and nothing worked? Until one day, exhausted, you decided to let it go. And it was in that moment, when you stopped trying to force the situation, that the solution just showed up out of nowhere. An unexpected phone call, someone offering help, a detail you hadn't noticed before. As if everything had been waiting for you to give up control so it could finally manifest. This isn't magic. This is the cosmic law at work when you respect its flow. Thoth taught that the universe is self-sufficient and self-correcting. It doesn't need you to push life. It needs you to stop getting in the way. Harmony only reveals itself when we stop resisting, and resistance often disguises itself as effort. In the moments when you let go, not out of failure but out of true surrender, the universe realigns. It's not passivity, it's not negligence, it's trust. The trust that Thoth said was the most powerful of all vibrations, because it doesn't create noise in the invisible field. When you trust, you silence anxiety, and that silence creates space for the invisible to do its work. Maybe you've experienced this in a relationship. You insisted, pushed, tried to control the situation, and everything became harder. Until one day, you chose to let go, move on, and then the person came back to you. Or maybe it happened at work. You chased after an opportunity, knocked on every door, and nothing happened. But when you decided to focus on something else, the offer you wanted showed up out of the blue. Thoth taught that the flow of life follows laws that don't obey human logic. And one of those laws says that the universe responds to balance, not excess. When you're emotionally off balance, vibrating anxiety, neediness, or desperation, you create a chaotic field, and the universe respects that chaos. But when you return to your center, when you let go and trust, the field organizes. It doesn't mean you should give up your dreams or desires. It means that after planting them, you need to step aside and let them grow on their own, like a seed. A farmer doesn't plant a seed and dig up the soil every day to check if it's sprouting. He trusts nature's timing, and life works the same way. The problem is, the modern mind doesn't easily accept this. It's been trained to control everything, calculate everything, predict everything, and anything that can't be controlled is seen as a threat. But Thoth warned, the attempt at total control is the root of suffering. The true creator doesn't control the flow, he collaborates with it. When you let go, the invisible begins to work quietly. Not because you gave up, but because you trusted. That's when synchronicities happen, unexpected meetings, solutions you could never have planned yourself. The universe acts with an intelligence far beyond your rational mind. But be careful, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It's not dropping it with indifference. It's remembering with peace. It's keeping the desire alive in your heart, but without heaviness, without urgency, without anxiety. Someone who truly lets go moves forward in peace, knowing that what is theirs will find its way to them at the right time. This is where Thoth reveals the hidden principle that governs this flow, and what he teaches has nothing to do with luck or chance. There's a mechanism behind these events, an exact principle that explains why, when you stop pushing, life starts to move. And that principle is what we're going to start uncovering from now on. Thoth and the hidden law, the invisible harmony that regulates everything. Behind what seems like simple coincidence, there's a much deeper and invisible principle, a principle as old as time itself. The Hermetic records speak of this law as one of the most hidden secrets of the universe, not because it's hard to understand, but because it challenges everything the common human mind accepts as real. This is the so-called reverse law, and as the name suggests, it flips the logic we were taught to follow. You were taught that you need to hold on to things so you don't lose them, but Thoth taught that the more you hold on, the more things slip through your fingers. True creation happens when you let go. True control shows up when you stop trying to control. The universe doesn't need you pulling the strings. It already knows how to weave the fabric of your life without your interference. Thoth explained this in a simple way. When you create an inner emptiness, a space free of anxiety and resistance, the cosmos automatically fills that space. Because the nature of the universe is to fill the void with balance. When there's an open space inside you, without fear, without desperation, without the need to control everything, that space becomes the channel through which the invisible flows. It's in that emptiness that spontaneous creation happens. But the human mind resists this idea. It wants to fill every empty space with thoughts, plans, strategies, worries. It wants to be sure of everything. It wants to predict the future, control outcomes, anticipate risks. But the reverse law only works when you let go of control and become an open and available channel. And this is where the Hermetic concept of action through non-action comes in. Non-action doesn't mean passivity or laziness. It means acting from inner peace, not anxiety. It means allowing life to flow while you stay alert and available. It's like a candle shining in the dark. It doesn't fight the darkness, it simply shines. It doesn't have to force the light. It just is. Thoth taught that the invisible harmony that regulates the cosmos doesn't need your effort to function. It's active all the time. What stops this harmony from showing up in your life is the constant mental noise, the uncontrolled desire, the fear of losing. When those elements are silenced, the natural flow reveals itself. And you can see this in so many situations in your life. When you were relaxed, calm, not forcing anything, things seemed to fall into place effortlessly. You met the right people, made intuitive decisions, noticed obvious solutions that had been invisible before. But when you tried to force things, everything got stuck. It's not a coincidence. It's the reverse law acting all the time, even if you don't realize it. The big issue is that this wisdom was hidden, not by accident, but because it challenges the dominant paradigm of achievement, effort, and competition. Modern society was built on the worship of blind action, where the one who does the most, runs the fastest, and fights the hardest is supposed to win. But Thoth showed us the opposite. The one who wins is the one who learns to align with the invisible flow without resistance. When you start to see that the universe doesn't need your force, but your harmony, the question that changes everything arises. If effort doesn't create, then what really shapes your reality? The answer Thoth gave millennia ago, but few understood its meaning. He spoke of the hidden field that lives within you, a silent field that receives everything you feel as true and turns it into form, into situations, into real experiences. That field is your deeper mind, what we now call the subconscious, but in Hermetic tradition, it was seen as the portal between the invisible and the visible. The great illusion of humanity is to believe that reality responds to what you consciously want, that it's enough to wish, to ask strongly, to repeat positive words, and the universe will obey your command. But Thoth taught the exact opposite. What creates your reality isn't the desire itself, but the silent feeling you carry deep in your soul. It's not what you say, but what vibrates in silence when no one is listening. Think of the subconscious as fertile soil, where every feeling is a seed. If you plant fear, you harvest situations that feed that fear. If you plant lack, you get experiences that confirm the absence. But if you plant certainty, peace, and trust, even without seeing the immediate result, those seeds silently sprout until they bloom in your outer life. The problem is, most people plant one type of seed and expect to harvest another. They say they want prosperity, but vibrate worry. They say they want love, but vibrate neediness. They say they want peace, but live in anxiety, stuck in fear of tomorrow. And the subconscious doesn't judge this as right or wrong. It simply obeys what it feels as true. Thoth said the deep mind doesn't reason like the conscious mind. It doesn't understand arguments, justifications, or excuses. It doesn't respond to yelling or begging. It responds to the silent vibrational state. When you feel something as true, even without proof, the hidden field receives that information and starts shaping the reality around you to reflect that inner state. That's why so many times you may have done everything to get something and nothing worked. Because deep down, you were vibrating doubt. You were vibrating lack. You were trying to create something new with an old vibration. And the subconscious, being obedient, simply repeated that pattern. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine feeling something as true, even when everything around you shows the opposite. Imagine holding peace when the outside world feels like chaos. Imagine feeling gratitude for something that hasn't happened yet. That's the state where the invisible really starts to work. Because there's no resistance, no anxiety, only silent certainty. And it's important to understand this isn't about denying external reality. It's not about pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about recognizing the visible reality, but not letting it control you. It's keeping your focus on what you want to create, while allowing the present to be as it is. Because it's in that balance that the subconscious field stays fertile. The sacred paradox. When you let go, everything arrives. When you realize that the deeper mind responds to what you feel is true, something happens that might seem absurd at first. Because the exact moment you stop needing what you wanted so badly, reality starts bringing to you what once seemed impossible. And it's not magic. It's the natural flow of creation, acting according to the cosmic laws Thoth taught millennia ago. He called it the sacred paradox. That moment when, as you let go, everything arrives. When you stop chasing, what was once unreachable begins to move toward you. The human mind, trapped in the conditioning of effort, can't easily accept this. It wants to believe that the one who fights the most wins, that the one who insists the most achieves. But Thoth showed another path, a quiet path, where it's not force that moves things, but harmony. And this is where the reverse law reveals its purest face. It's not your effort that creates, it's your surrender. It's not your control that manifests, it's your peace. Think about the moments in your life when something finally happened after you had already stopped expecting it. Maybe an answer that took months to arrive, but appeared just when you decided to let it go. Maybe an unexpected reunion with someone important, right when you had stopped looking. Or that career opportunity that showed up the moment you chose to take another path, no longer waiting for it. Those moments weren't coincidences. They were reflections of the law working silently when you, for the first time, stopped interfering. Thoth said that as long as you hold on tightly, the universe can't move what's already in your hands. But when you let go, space is created for something greater to happen. It's like opening your hands so the river can pass through instead of trying to grab the water. And that doesn't mean abandoning your dreams. It doesn't mean giving up what you want. It means trusting so deeply that you no longer need to live in pursuit of it. It means releasing the desire from the prison of anxiety and setting it free in the fertile field of trust. Imagine someone who spends years seeking recognition. They push themselves, try to please, seek approval everywhere. But only when they decide to stop chasing validation and begin acting with authenticity does true recognition appear. Or imagine someone who deeply desires love but lives stuck in neediness and the fear of being alone. On the day that person finds peace in their own company, someone special crosses their path. Why? Because the desire stopped being a need and became simply an expression of their wholeness. Thoth said that the universe responds to your deepest vibration, not to what you say you want. And when you vibrate with need, even if you ask for something positive, you're sending out a frequency of lack. But when you let go and stay at peace, your vibration rises naturally and attracts what's in harmony with that new frequency. That's the paradox. The more you feel you need something, the farther away it seems. But when you feel complete, when you no longer depend on it to be happy, it comes closer. Not as punishment, not as a test, but because there's finally vibrational space for it to arrive. Life isn't punishing you when something doesn't happen. It's simply waiting for the moment you stop vibrating scarcity and begin vibrating trust. Because it's in that state that the invisible can finally work freely. And maybe now you're starting to see how many times in your life you blocked the natural flow by being caught in anxiety, fear, and uncontrolled desire. But the good news is that one single moment of true surrender is enough to change everything. It doesn't take years of practice, just one moment of silent, confident release. But all of this only works when the seed of your desire is planted in the right field. Because many people let go, but they planted in the wrong soil. And so, even after letting go, the harvest doesn't come. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. And this is exactly where most people stumble without even noticing. Because letting go doesn't mean abandoning the process of creation. Letting go is part of the path. But before that, there's something even more important, the moment of the seed. Thoth said that the act of planting a desire in the invisible field is a sacred moment, and like every sacred act, it requires reverence, clarity, and emotional purity. Because it's no use letting go of a desire that was born contaminated by anxiety. There's no point trying to harvest something that was planted in the soil of fear. In the Hermetic tradition, Thoth taught in the rituals of Jehuti that the true creator doesn't create in the middle of mental noise. He waits for the moment when his mind is quiet, when the heart is calm, and the emotion is pure. And what does a pure emotion mean? It means a state where the desire isn't mixed with desperation, or a sense of lack, or the fear of failure. It's a desire that's born from wholeness, not from need. Picture the subconscious as a silent, fertile field. When you plant a seed there, that seed absorbs the energy of the moment it was planted. If you plant in a rush, the seed absorbs urgency. If you plant in fear, it absorbs fear. And what grows from that later will be a reality infused with those feelings. But if you plant with peace, with clarity, with trust, that's what the seed carries. That's why the emotional state at the moment of creation is everything. Thoth said the ideal time to plant is when the conscious mind is distracted and relaxed, because in that moment, the subconscious is more open. The ancients knew this. That's why rituals were performed at sunrise, in the quiet of night, or during the transitions between sleep and wakefulness. Not out of superstition, but because during those times, the rational mind weakens and the subconscious field becomes receptive. You don't need elaborate ceremonies, just create a calm inner environment. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, release the thoughts of the day, and in that moment of silence, visualize what you desire as if it were already real. Not as a request, but as a silent recognition. You're not asking, you're acknowledging. You're not desiring with anxiety, you're accepting with gratitude. The protective silence. How not to interfere with the miracle in progress. And now we reach the point where Thoth himself gave a subtle but powerful warning. He said, "When the earth is fertile, the best thing the farmer can do is step back and trust." This is where many stumble. Human anxiety wants to touch the soil every moment, wants to check if the seed is sprouting, wants to control the timing of the harvest. But divine energy doesn't respond to those who monitor. It responds to those who trust. At this stage, the greatest enemy isn't the outside world. It's not the circumstances. It's the restless mind, which in its hurry suffocates the invisible that was just beginning to take shape. That's why Thoth teaches the protective silence, a state where you've already planted the intention and now guard your inner space like a sacred sanctuary, not allowing thoughts of doubt, fear, or anxiety to contaminate the fertile soil of manifestation. But this isn't a passive silence. It's not the silence of someone waiting in resignation. It's an active, vibrant silence that protects. Imagine a warrior guarding the entrance of a temple. He makes no noise, but his presence keeps all threats away. That's how your inner silence must be. Protective, vigilant, yet serene. So, how do you protect this vibrational field? First, by stepping away from everything that fuels doubt. Negative news, people who weaken your faith, conversations that reinforce scarcity. Then, by nurturing thoughts that feed trust. Memories of times the universe already surprised you. Feelings of gratitude for what hasn't yet arrived, but that you already recognize as yours. Another essential aspect is to stop interfering with your creation. Many people, without realizing it, try to speed up the miracle. They begin visualizing obsessively, repeating soulless affirmations, monitoring signs every second. And this is where Thoth warns. When you stir the soil too much, you kill the root. Creation needs space to breathe. It needs silence to form beyond the reach of the rational mind. Protect your field as if you're guarding something sacred. When thoughts of fear arise, don't fight them. Just observe and let them pass. When anxiety comes knocking, don't get involved. Just return to the silent center of your inner certainty. In that state, your vibration remains clean, and the invisible keeps working in silence. And now, we arrive at an even deeper revelation. Because there's a level where not even visualization is necessary. Where you no longer need to repeat intentions. Where everything is already so aligned within you that the universe has no choice but to respond. It's the stage of silent faith, a frequency so pure and so elevated that it needs no words, no images, no mental effort. It simply is. And few have access to this power. Here begins the mystery of true faith. Thoth said that faith is not waiting for something to happen. It's living as if it already has. And this isn't done with beautiful words or external postures. It's done with the inner silence of someone who knows. Silence that doesn't ask, doesn't beg, doesn't question. It simply vibrates in certainty. True faith doesn't shout at the universe. It whispers in the heart. It doesn't need to convince reality because it's already in harmony with it. And in that silence, in the space where there's no noise of doubt, creation happens faster and more fluidly than any technique ever could. Now you're going to learn how to inhabit this silent state of certainty, how to magnetize reality without needing to repeat your intentions 1,000 times or visualize frenetically what you desire. The power of silent creation is available to those who can sustain the vibration without needing external confirmations. And those who doubt this is possible will now see real examples of people who accessed this state and completely changed the direction of their lives, without noise, without forced effort, simply by aligning themselves with this invisible force. No one will be able to stop you, the lifestyle aligned with the invisible. While most people remain stuck in effort and doubt, there are those who, by letting go of control, watch their entire lives reorganize around them. These are stories not told in ordinary books, but that echo quietly among those who walk through the hidden halls of manifestation. A man who had spent years battling debt and financial failure, trying everything and forcing results without success, one day decided to stop. Not in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of letting go. He released his worry and, instead of chasing, began to vibrate as if he were already in balance. Within weeks, without looking for it, a job opportunity appeared, exactly in the field he loved and with an income far greater than anything he had planned. A woman, tired of relationships that didn't flow, did what seemed unthinkable. She stopped searching for someone to fill her emotional void. She turned inward and began living in harmony with her own company. Not long after, without searching or expecting, she met someone whose energy matched exactly the peace she had been cultivating within herself. It wasn't effort, it was resonance. And perhaps the most impressive story is of someone battling an illness that medicine had labeled incurable. She stopped fighting the disease and began to nourish the invisible health that already existed within her. It wasn't denial of physical reality, it was alignment with spiritual reality. Silently, without forcing, her body began to respond. Days later, tests confirmed what once seemed unlikely. The healing was there, not as a mystical miracle, but as a natural consequence of someone who stopped resisting and allowed divine order to flow. These are just a few examples of what Thoth used to say in the Halls of Amenti. The invisible works when you don't get in the way, when you step aside and let the intelligence of the cosmos organize what you could never accomplish alone. This isn't theory, it's living practice. It's a law that doesn't require blind faith, but a willingness to stop interfering with the natural flow of life. The reverse law doesn't ask you to do more. It asks you to trust more, to solve less with the mind, and allow the invisible to do what only it can do. It's not an invitation to passivity, but to active trust. Life begins to conspire in your favor when you stop fighting against it. But now comes the most crucial point of all. Because it's not enough to apply this occasionally, like an emergency technique. True transformation happens when you make this your new way of life. When letting go of control becomes your natural state. When trusting becomes your daily habit. And when that happens, no one will be able to stop you. Here, Thoth teaches us that those who live in alignment with the universal laws become unshakable, not because challenges don't exist, but because challenges no longer have power over those who live in that frequency. The person doesn't need to prove anything to the world, because their vibration is already the living proof of who they are. Bringing the reverse law into your everyday life means acting without anxiety, desiring without neediness, creating without forcing, waking up each day with clear intentions but no attachment to the outcomes, working with dedication but releasing the weight of expectation, speaking to the universe but knowing how to be silent to hear it respond. This practice isn't effort, it's a state of being. The frequency of silent certainty becomes your inner environment, and in that environment, life flows. The right people show up, doors open, situations resolve without strain. When you live in that state, the outer world might try to shake you, but it can't, because your foundation is not outside, it's within. And those who have that foundation, as Thoth used to say, walk on the waters of chaos without sinking. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you has already started to awaken. So tell me in the comments, what insight moved you the most so far? Write it down below, because your experience might inspire other people who are also seeking this truth. Oh, and if you'd like to support this channel and help spread these messages around the world, there's a link in the first pinned comment for you to contribute directly. It helps keep this space alive and reach even more people who need to hear these hidden truths. And before you go, there's a special video picked out for you. It's right here on the screen. Click on it now so we can keep this journey going together. In it, I'll show you exactly how to apply this knowledge and start seeing your life change today.